Hi again, Kirby here from Grace Counseling Center, and welcome to the third video of the anxiety series, which is Insomnia Part 1. So it's a third video and it's Part 1. Why? Because I have to divide, I'm looking into dividing insomnia into two videos. Yeah, it's gonna be lengthy for one. It's gonna be enough for two video installments. And let me explain. I want to deal with it in two separate forms of insomnia. Once you come for therapy, for example, for sleeplessness, right? So that's more or less what insomnia is. Either you cannot sleep, you cannot fall into sleep, or you have low sleep quality that you easily wake up, and transient insomnia. The worst form of insomnia, like for me, would be the one where you don't know that you're already sleeping and you still think that you're awake, but you open your eyes, it's the morning already. So more or less we have different types of insomnia. And for this first video, it's about insomnia in itself. That's why sometimes I personally call it pure insomnia. I don't know if this is what the internet calls it. Pure insomnia, meaning the problem is on the insomnia in itself. Hence we have this first video. The second video after this would be designed for insomnia as a result of other conditions. So there's an insomnia where the insomnia is the problem in itself. You go to your doctors and you say, my problem is the sleep itself. And there are cases like this one. I would say it's quite rare. Me, as a psychologist, I would see everything as nails. I would see every insomnia as mere symptoms stemming from other conditions like anxiety, insomnia as a form of symptom from anxiety, sleeplessness because of your depression, for example. Then that's the next video for you. For this video, I want to set the limiters for now that it's for sleep problems in itself, meaning there's not much counseling needed. There's not much any psychological issues of fear or anger or any emotional issues. It's just that your body doesn't translate to the sleeping profile once you lay down on bed at night. Your brain just doesn't change the brain waves to the stages of sleep. So I'm applying behavioral techniques here, some psychoeducational stuff, not necessarily for counseling. So again, and this is what we call sleep hygiene. So we have a sleep hygiene interview when you go for Christian counseling. When you go for counseling, man, any psychological consultation, and you complain about, I cannot sleep. So what the psychologists would do, what your counselors would do, is to check your sleep habits first before we go for psychotherapy. So let's take it up one by one, right? So when you say sleep hygiene, it pertains to your sleep habits. It pertains to your attitude, what you do before sleep, what you drink during the day. So the first, another reason I want to try out my whiteboard here. So this one. The first one I want to check out would be the circadian rhythm, right? So check the circadian rhythm, and I want to see if the one I am assessing has a regular 24-hour cycle. So how would you know if you have a regular 24-hour cycle? Because you always eat at the same hours. Like for me, 12 noon is always the time I start digesting my stomach. I always wake up at 7 a.m. every day. Then more or less you will know that the person has a regular cycle. There are people with irregular cycles, particularly because of their lifestyle. They cross time zones as a pilot, as a cabin crew, night shift and stuff, and we respect that. So, but first thing we check first is, hey, are you following the flow of the circadian rhythm? Are you following the flow of your circadian rhythm? Because if not, then it's quite difficult to adjust to your sleeping habits. It's quite difficult. So check the circadian rhythm first. Check if they have a proper sleep schedule. So as far as the circadian rhythm is concerned, check if you have a proper sleep schedule. It's highly advisable if you are going through some insomnic episodes right now, right? Check your sleep schedule first. And what is preferable is that you stick to the same schedule every day. So it's like your brain is designed to switch its waves come 10 p.m. or when it comes to 11 p.m. It depends on your sleep schedule on a 24-hour cycle. So the more regular, the better. I want to give a tip for this one. When everything comes, when everything has all been checked, the person is regular and stuff, or the person is irregular, you can apply resetting your sleep cycle. Now, how do you reset your sleep cycle? Just stay up, in a nutshell, just stay up for 24 hours straight. Stay up for 24 hours straight. Then choose the time that you wish to sleep. Say, for example, I will choose 10 p.m. I will choose 10 p.m. Then what I'll do is to start keeping this promise to myself. Every day I will set to 10 p.m. Sleep at 10 p.m. Wake up at 6 a.m. Sleep 10 p.m. Wake up at sleep a.m. This one is for pure insomnia alone. So let's just say there's no underlying issue. There's no psychotherapy needed. You simply came back from Europe or wherever you traveled to. And this one is a good it's a good hack, so to speak. Yeah. Next, we deal with physiological factors. And I have here on my list some few physiological factors. The first thing that we have to understand is when sleep, right? So sleep, as my definition, is a time of the day where your brain and your other organs starts resting. So a lot of things have to start switching off. Your reality functions should start switching off. Your reading functions, reading functions, your language centers, mathematical functions should all be switching off one by one. And there's a lot of physiological changes that come with it. Your heart rate goes down to a slower pace, then it will go back up during REM, right? So let's talk about your body's physiology. So let's see, maybe some practices prevent you from sleeping. The first one is to check the temperature. It's much harder to fall asleep when the weather is hot. Now, why is this? Because your body needs to go down certain degrees. It has to go down certain degrees, and it has worked. Some clients we've worked with insomnia by simply getting rid of their blankets at home. I just told them, switch on the air conditioner, change your blanket to a thinner one, or purposely let go of this blanket. Yeah, it makes it easy for them to go to a cryogenic state, so to speak. So watch the temperature. The cooler the environmental temperature, or the cooler the body temperature, actually easier to fall asleep. Second, for the sleep hygiene checklist would be caffeine and other chemical stimulants. And we all know, right, people who drink coffee at 10 p.m. they cannot sleep at night. So it depends on the age, the people say. And during middle age, they're afraid to consume coffee, the real coffee, after 3 p.m., stating that it will affect their evening sleep. So watch the caffeine intake. So more or less, it depends on your physiology. And by the way, when it comes to physiology, please always check with your medical doctors. All right, this one, we're just having fun here. So it's just that for me, caffeine makes me sleep. Just for the record, I can drink strong coffee at 11 p.m. and still fall asleep. Now, it depends on it's called the opponent process theory. It depends on the chemicals counteracting the caffeine on your body. I believe mine is stronger than the caffeine in itself, so it relaxes me. So it depends on each one's physiology. Next one would be, exercise. So check if there's an exercise, and why do counselors ask about the exercise? Particularly because we want to check if you're attempting to fall asleep while your body is in a stimulated state, right? There's still adrenaline pumping up, the endorphins are there, you will not be able to sleep. So with all due respect to Batman, for example, who will do his push-ups before sleeping, it's not good for sleeping. So I know some people who run the treadmill before sleeping, thinking that the body will crash afterwards. Once again, it depends on your physiology. If you've tried it out once and it didn't work, you're up the whole night, then jog in the morning. All right. So we have here amount of oxygen, or I would just say the breathing, right? So breathing, we need to pump in more oxygen in the brain to make us fall asleep. And we took up the function of oxygen and the effects of oxygen on the drowsiness levels, right? On brain functioning, when we talked about panic attacks, it's a very good anesthetic. And if you observe someone who's deep in sleep, they'll be breathing very, very deeply and fast. So it's not a panic attack. It's simply, yeah, that's simply how people sleep. And the same reason why we get sleepy after eating a hearty, heavy meal, because the oxygen climbs up the brain. What's my take on hydration? So people will ask, right? Or the counselors will ask, did you drink this? More or less, people will just ask about caffeine intake, but some ask about water intake as well. Please know your body. Some people sleep better, and what we're after is restorative sleep, right? People who sleep and they're restored the next day. That happens to me if I have a good supply of water. I believe my kidneys do the job while I'm sleeping. I may have to go to the toilet often, like once or twice during my 8-hour sleep, but it's worth it. I believe so. Yeah. So it's the time my body cleanses itself. It's a personal choice. Some people are afraid. They don't want to be interrupted. They don't want their sleep interrupted by toilet breaks, so they stay away from hydration. Again, it's a matter of knowing yourself. So again, I'm not a medical doctor. I won't give a straight answer on this one. I'm giving a safe answer, right? So again, yeah, it depends on your body. So try it out first. I mean, yeah. Of course, any motor muscular stimulation, please check it out. The more immobile you are, the easier it is for your body to switch to the sleeping state. Obviously, you cannot keep moving, and all of these muscles stimulate the brain. Even as little as eye movements changes the brain waves. So again, this is what we do to change our thoughts, right? So you'll know that someone changes their mind, thinks of something else, once their eye starts moving. The brain is switching gears at that case. So eye fixation is important. Body immobility is quite important as well. So go ahead, roll around, find your good posture, good position for sleeping, then stay there for the next 12 hours. All right, moving on for the sleep hygiene checklist, we have here environmental factors. Now, not to treat you like babies, but since you're in a state of insomnia, we have to treat you as such. Lights and sounds, any source of external stimulation. So try it out. Maybe you want zero lighting, as little as your phone blinking stimulates you already. As little as the drip of the faucet water can wake you up, can stimulate you. Try to eliminate all these environmental factors, particularly because they can easily stimulate you. So again, sleeping is very, very simple. All we have to do is to take away sources of stimulation. The more bored your brain is, the more predisposed it will be to switch to the REM stage, to the sleep stages. All right. Any other stimulations? Of course, if you're sleeping, you're sharing a room with someone, or worse, sharing a bed with someone, you will have to pay attention to those stimulations and to check how to eliminate those stimulation. Now, if you cannot eliminate a form of stimulation, it will be good to make yourself numb to it. And this is where white noise comes in. So say, for example, I used to stay beside a bus stop, and I can hear all the cars. I can hear the bus, man. I can hear the tapping of the bus cards, which causes spikes in my brain stimulation. It causes spikes in my brain stimulation. So what I would want to do is not keep my room as flatlined, as super silent as possible. I would want to introduce a bit of white noise, like switch on the fan that you see the shadow of the fan, switch on the fan a bit, or for some people or some babies, they will switch on some soft music. Right? It's to decrease the gap of the sound of the music and the later spikes that you will get, which will no longer spike because you've closed the gap, right? So this is what white noise is for. Okay, again, what about if my wife's beside me, my husband's beside me, or sometimes my daughter climbs? It's up to you to enforce your physical boundaries, right? So, but just showing you that why you cannot sleep apart from counseling. You are easily stimulated by all these factors. So last part of the chat here, please check in the checklist here, please check on possible medications. So this one will overlap with caffeine effects or any other stimulants. If you are medicated with other drugs, so say for example, you're taking up other psychoactive drugs, or you have your high blood pressure pills and stuff, please check with your GP, with your medical doctor, with your family doctor on the effects of the drugs on you. Don't just ask AI or Google it out and self-diagnose, right? I find that very, very unhelpful or unhealthy, right? So check the medications, whether it has a stimulating effect. Some vitamins alone may have the stimulating effect, right? So on the other side of the coin, we're here to rule out the type 1 of insomnic problems, which is a pure insomnia, that the sleeping itself is the problem. Your brain doesn't change the brain waves, your muscles don't relax. So we apply the appropriate means of relaxations. Sometimes I will ask the client if they've taken up sleeping pills or relaxants. I won't mention brands. Some downers, calmers, muscle relaxants, mild relaxants that you can get from your GP. And if these, my take on this one is, if your sleeping pills don't work, relaxants doesn't work, melatonin doesn't work, then it's probably the second type of insomnia. You are dealing with something psychological, because if it's something physiological, then medications would handle it. Since we're ruling out the physical form of insomnia, because I want to jump to video number 2. Video number 2 is all about anxiety-based insomnia or depression-based insomnia. Insomnia as a symptom. So for now, I'm winding down here with insomnia, but simply just insomnia. Simply just a sleeping issue. Probably you didn't learn how to sleep, man, yeah? Or you didn't learn how to slow down in life. Then this video is for you, all right? So again, I'm winding down here. I'll check you guys out for the next video. If you still cannot sleep after this video, then maybe it's something deeper. We have to check for psychological issues. So once again, thanks for listening, for the clicks. See you next video.